This video, I'm going to share with you 3 things about extraterrestrials that'll probably kind of freak you out, but nonetheless are probably true. Welcome back to another video. My name is Aaron and I help people expand their consciousness. Now in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you those 3 things about extraterrestrials that are probably true, but might freak you out a little bit. And it's because right now we've been so conditioned inside of a little box, and we've been so conditioned to believe that this is all that there is to reality, the physical things that we're able to experience, believing even for the longest time that we're the only ones in the universe, the only ones in all of existence, in all of infinity, across all the universe. We are the only special snowflake, and there is no other snowflake at all. That's what we've been led to believe through social conditioning. Now, what I'm going to be sharing with you in this video, let me just give you a little bit of context, is it comes from different informational sources. Now, on one hand, it is a strong level of discernment, because not everything that you hear about ETs is necessarily something that is true. It is something that as you learn about it, you definitely have to navigate your own discernment. So even what I share with you, go within yourself and see if it resonates with you. I'm not trying to tell you what to believe or show you what is actual fact, but these are things that I believe to be true out of all the research I've done. And that includes watching, whether that be shows on Gaia TV, if you've ever heard of Gaia TV, whether that is the work of Dolores Cannon, she was a hypnotherapist. People would go to a very deep level of hypnosis. People may go in there actually believing that ETs isn't a real thing, but in this deep level of hypnosis, they would talk about, it's like their subconscious mind comes through and explains why they incarnated at this time, what their intentions were in this life, and why they were here. And so many people from all over the world that she would put into this hypnotic trance state would say, I'm here for the great shift in consciousness. I'm here to help facilitate this. And if you're watching this video right now, then you are one of those people as well. You can only perceive that which you are the vibration of. So you came here to help awaken other people or just yourself, and by you going and doing the inner work, it affects people at subconscious levels. So all 19 books of Dolores Cannon will show you more about this information, and Bashar, who else? The Law of One, study the Law of One material, very powerful. And then also meditation, me going into my own meditation, finding out what is true for myself, and then also being able to discern what is true and not true. Okay, so the first one that I want to share with you has to do with, there's a show on Gaia TV called Cosmic Disclosure. Now, if you've ever seen it, there's these whistleblowers that come in that share their experiences of working with what is called a secret space program. And the stories they share, there's one guy named Corey Good, there's someone else named Emery Smith, and when they are sharing their stories, you can tell whether they are being authentic or not. And through some of these episodes are 30 minutes long, some of them are an hour long, and they're sharing their firsthand experiences with extraterrestrials, their firsthand experiences with things. There's a whole different world going on. We're just kept inside of that, of kind of like a bubble. We're kept in the dark about it. But the government, I don't know if you call it the government, but there's definitely people on the planet that know about this. It is something that has been held from a mass amount of people of knowing. Nonetheless, these people that are what we call whistleblowers, but that are on that show called Cosmic Disclosure, tell some of the most profound stories you can imagine. And I'm trying to think of some of them that would be relatable to this video. But Corey Good has had many experiences off planet, and part of his job is part of his job in general is to bring through some of this information. And he's the last person that you would ever think would do this. He's a very quiet guy. Recently, he's gotten better at speaking, but you can tell that in the beginning of, like, especially the first couple seasons of Gaia on Cosmic Disclosure, he's not comfortable with speaking. He's not very of a talkative person, but then he gets better as the seasons go on because he starts doing it more and more. He starts sharing more and more. But you see him have some of the most profound experiences, whether that's being taken up to what's called the Lunar Operation Command, LOC, on the moon. He did what is called a 20 and back program, where he was on that of the moon, or where he was taken and in a way went through and served a whole entire 20-year sentence of doing different sentence. 20-year, he was in the army or something like that. It's certain government, the way they get recruited is through certain government organizations. But what happened is he went through that. He had certain experiences for 20 years and then they age regress him back. And then he gets put back into the timeline. So it also kind of shows that there's something else going on where there's this understanding of timelines. And he gets put back. He's actually done 3 of those. Normally what happens is their memories are cloaked from it. He was what's called an intuitive empath, which means he was used to help go to different meetings around the universe or around this galaxy or this solar system, and he was able to be able to tell if people were lying or not, be able to tell the intentions of different groups, and that's what he was used for as an intuitive empath. Nonetheless, he's had many profound experiences. It's either these things are true that he explains, or he is like the J.K. Rowling of talking about these experiences. It'll literally blow your mind, and there's so much detail involved that you can tell that it's being, and such a consistent thing as well. And there's been other people, whether that's William Tompkins is one of them, which was a high level, I think Navy, I think he was in the Navy. He's like a guy that passed away, but before he passed away, he gave away a whole bunch of information. He had high credentials. So basically what I'm saying with this is there's a lot of stuff that goes on that we're not aware of. And through watching Cosmic Disclosure, I'm able to see many different people that are being interviewed that talk about these profound experiences that they had when they were taken out of their life here on Earth and doing other things, and then sometimes coming back. And then they're the ones that are sharing the things that happen. But the one thing about this I want to share is that there are many ships around our planet that are completely cloaked, which means we can't physically see them with our eyes, yet they are there just out of the range of what we can perceive of. So in a way, they're phased out of our perception of them. Nonetheless, they are all around the planet. I was talking about this last night when I was on the balcony here looking at the sunset. If all the ships were to uncloak and you were to see them and they were to be like phased where we could see, it would freak us out. We would be scared because we wouldn't know what it meant. We'd see so many of them. But the thing is that they're cloaked from our perception, and therefore we don't actually see them. Now, why would there be so many different beings here? Well, if you study the work of Dolores Cannon, the thing that she talks about, and the thing that is also, there's been sessions that she's had where people have said things like that. Like there's ships all around the world that are just phased out to where we can't see them, yet they are either balancing energy, they're there just to observe. But one of the reasons is what's happening right now on the planet with this shift in consciousness has never happened in the universe before, where we 7.5+ billion people go through a shift in consciousness in body together. So it's happened in different societies at smaller scale before, but not in the way that it's happening here. So this really is a great awakening, and it is something that they want to study to see how does this actually work. How does a society with this many billion of people kept in the dark then start to wake up to more and more of who they are? And as we ascend into a higher vibration in body, they want to see how this process is, and that's why they are all around. I'm looking out right now. If you were to look out right now, you would see all of this sky right here. You would be able to see, you would see many of them going all the way across. How high up they would be, I'm not sure. But what I do know is that they are observing us right now. But if you were to look up, it would freak you out a little bit. And you would be like, wow. Now, the second thing I want to share is something that I've learned from Bashar, something I've learned from the Law of One, something I've learned from Dolores Cannon's 19 different books. And that is, this might freak you out a little bit, but you here right now, listen, watching this video, you have connections to different star systems. So you can be afraid of extraterrestrials, but understand your soul is so vast and you have existed for such a long period of time. You have more creativity than just putting all your consciousness into one little reality system. As such a vast being as you are, you did not put just all your energy into one reality system called Earth. You have existences at higher levels of consciousness as well. You have existences in perhaps what is called the Pleiades, in Arcturus, in Andromeda, in Sirius, in Vega. There are all these different star systems that also contain life, and you can, through the sources I mentioned, you can do more research on that, see what resonates with you. I'm not telling you what to believe. However, study that you are a multi-dimensional being that exists here right now, that also have parallel incarnations in those realities. Now here's the thing, this might kind of, this might kind of twist your mind into a little bit more of a pretzel, as Loris Cannon would say. And think about this, you at higher levels of consciousness, so let's say in higher dimensions, wanted to ascend from, let's say, a 7th to an 8th dimensional state of consciousness. One thing that you may have done is you may have come back to Earth here in the timeline, sent a portion of you, a very small portion of you, back into this body that you're in right now, so that you could transition from 3rd density to 4th density, because as below, so above. So as you go from 3rd density to 4th density, your higher self, your future version of you, parallel incarnation version of you, then goes from a 7th to an 8th dimensional level of consciousness. So you see, that's what may be happening here, and many of us here right now have existences, all of us have existences in higher levels of consciousness, but we're coming here to also remember who we are, to help other people remember who they are. So the thing that might freak you out a little bit is, as afraid of extraterrestrials as you can be, you're still connected to them. You want to hear something even a little bit more crazy? The hominid species that we are, the body that you have right now and the body that we all have as human beings, is a mix of different extraterrestrial DNA. So we are an accumulation of about 7. Bashar was asked this recently in a session about this, and we're a mix of Pleiades, Gray, and 2 or 3 other Sirius, and also what is the name of it? It is no. What is the ones that that are like ancient? Sorry, it's Leor in the background right over here. What is it? Anunnaki, yes. I don't know why I couldn't think of Anunnaki. The Anunnaki as well. So we have all of these different DNAs within us that make us human. So as afraid as we can be as ETs, we're still kind of part ET. And not only that, our soul exists here right now, but we also exist at higher levels of consciousness. So think about that. So it might freak out a little bit, but understand you are connected. You are a high vibrational being that has forgotten who you are to come here to go through a shift in consciousness, because as below, so above. So you going from 3rd density to 4th density here will help you go from 6th density to 7th density, 8th density, whatever it is, at higher levels of consciousness. Maybe it freaks you out a little bit. Maybe it's a little bit empowering to know that we've been brainwashed to believe that all extraterrestrials are bad. Of course, there's a mix of them, but I would say the majority of the ones that are here that are assisting us, or that are, they come from a higher level of consciousness, most of them, and they therefore know that we're all connected. We're maybe the past version of them. We're all one. So therefore they wouldn't do negative things to us, because they would know that. Yes, there are certain beings that don't have that perspective, that may be 4th density beings, but you're on 4th density, you know that you're connected to everyone else, so what you put out is what you get back. You wouldn't hurt anyone else, because that other person is another version of you. So it's about having and just understanding that in general, I think there's a lot of assistance right here that's helping us. So quickly now, the 3rd thing that might freak you out a little bit about extraterrestrials, I learned this from Bashar as well in one of his talks. People were asking, why don't ETs just land? Why don't they land and just have like conversation? Why don't they land and give us all their technology and help us to like clean the waters and stuff? First off, that has to do with understanding we got ourselves into this, we can get ourselves out of this. So it's not about, we have the savior complex. We want someone to come here and just save us, rather than knowing we have the power to change it within ourselves by us teaming together and doing it. Secondly, this technology has existed, it's been suppressed for a very long time. We've had Tesla type technology that's been suppressed that has free energy, but nonetheless, if you pay your electricity bill every month, that adds up to more over time. If you pay your $150 phone bill every month, that adds up over time, and that's a little bit more lucrative for companies than us having this free, Wi-Fi everywhere and all of this stuff. So there's a purpose behind it. Nonetheless, the technology definitely exists. But what Bashar, here's another reason we wouldn't necessarily be ready for extraterrestrial contact. What he said would happen when extraterrestrials, if they were to walk up to us, imagine an extraterrestrial walks up to you, and imagine this extraterrestrial is at higher vibration. They are in a way kind of lowering their vibration to come here to have this conversation with us. And what happens is as we walk up, and as this extraterrestrial walks up to us, what would happen is it would freak us out. Here is why. Our energetic field, as it came closer and closer to the energetic field of this high vibrational being, it would spin our field so high that it would then bring out all of the unprocessed emotion, all the stuff that was not yet integrated yet. It would bring it all up to the surface, and we would feel fear, we would feel all this negative emotion, we would have to deal with it right then and there, and we would assume that then it was the other ET that was making us feel that way. So that's the way we would perceive of it. So we would actually run away. I remember seeing a Bashar thing where a guy was talking and arguing with Bashar. He's like, I promise you, I 100% with the fact know that if you were to come, or an ETs were to come towards me, I would not do that. And Bashar goes, I promise you 100% a fact that you would do that, because it's an energetic thing. It's not like just the mind can overpower it. It would bring up everything that was unprocessed in order for you to process it, to get to that high vibration, and then you would have to deal with it right then and there, and you would assume it was the ET. So think of that as well. So what we're doing right now is we're raising our own frequency so that then in the future we can eventually have contact. And what Bashar says and what many other sources say is that it's highly probable that in this lifetime we can have face-to-face contact with ETs. A lot just has to happen. We have to do the work within ourselves. We have to do the work. Think about it. When ETs want to land in a place where people are at war with each other, there's war going on Earth. So what if they would land? They would assume that it's possible that then that same energy would be projected at them, even if they had nothing but good intentions. So we have to work on it ourselves, and as we work on it, I believe in this lifetime, we have the potential for that, but we have to do the work within ourselves. So let me know what you thought of today's video. I have a Starseed meditation as well that works perfectly with everything I'm sharing right now. If you want to know more about your Starseed DNA, activating those codes within you, there's a meditation in the top of the description box below. Read the comments to see what's possible, and listen to it for 21 days. You'll become more aware of this information. It'll open you up to a whole new world. So with that being said, I'll talk to you on the next video. Peace, much love, and namaste.